So, there's been a lot of doom and gloom around the election. The Republicans pushing for Project 2025, which will entail the destruction of our democracy and the unanimous giving of power to Donald Trump if he gets elected. There's a lot of doom and gloom. But I haven't covered a lot of the good news that is sort of related to this election. And believe it or not, there actually is some. For example, Biden and the Democrats have raised record-breaking amounts of money for the campaign going into 2024 for the general election. Meanwhile, Donald Trump specifically, the headliner of the Republican Party, and the GOP itself are not doing very well financially at the moment. And on top of that, the Republican Party's financial problems don't seem like they're going to get any better anytime soon, considering the fact that the GOP's donors are not interested in giving their money to Trump's legal campaign, or not his legal fees. It's not campaign money as they would hope for it to be. It's going to be legal fee money. All the while, Donald Trump just doesn't have enough liquid cash to pay off his civil bond, which is, what, $400,000 or $100 million. And even if he liquidates all of his real estate assets, apparently even then he won't have the money to pay it off. So Donald Trump is truly stuck between a rock and a hard place here. And it's not just Donald Trump, it's the whole Republican Party, which has tied itself to Trump, that's going to get dragged down with him by the looks of things. And I really am curious to see how it's going to go. The only saving grace they have is for Trump to win the election. If Trump loses, this truly could be the end of the Republicans as we know it.
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. We're just over a week into the general election now that Donald Trump and Joe Biden are their party's presumptive nominees. And the president is now really campaigning. I mean, traveling to 5 states in the last 10 days, touting his record. Today, he was in Houston, Texas for a campaign reception where he spoke about the booming economy and told a joke that has been getting a lot of laughs on the trail. Quote, "I know not everyone's feeling enthusiasm. The other day, a defeated-looking man came up to me and said, 'Mr. President, I'm being crushed by debt. I'm completely wiped out.' I had to say, 'I'm sorry, Donald. I can't help you.'"
That was a Biden W. I was like not reading ahead either. I wasn't expecting the punchline there. That was actually really good. Wait, that was a banger. No way he came up with that one himself. That was definitely like planned for him, ghostwritten for him, but that's a good joke.
Of course, while the president has been slinging zingers, all eyes have been on his Republican opponent, who owes more than $500 million in legal fines. And the clock is ticking on the largest of those. That's the $454 million judgment in New York, finding Trump liable for inflating his wealth to secure better terms on loans.
That's the thing, too. The thing that he is being charged the civil fine for is inflating the value of his real estate assets. And so he has to sell his real estate assets to liquidate them to pay off this fine. But to do that and have enough money, he may have to overvalue his real estate assets even more. He might actually be caught in a loop of having to commit more crime to pay off his crime.
The ex-president has just 4 days remaining to post a bond covering that massive amount. He needs to secure the bond by Monday, March 25th, in order to avoid paying the actual judgment while he appeals.
What I love as well is all the Republican, Trump-loving, Glazer accounts on Twitter that are tweeting, "Aren't there any billionaires out there that are liquid enough to pay Trump's legal fees? Why aren't there any Republican billionaires liquid enough to pay these legal fees?" It's like, there are no billionaires out there that have $454 million in liquid funds just sitting at their disposal because it's a waste of that much money. There is a reason why it is invested in stuff like real estate. The problem is Donald Trump overvalues his real estate and his properties, and that's what he's in trouble for. But it's also his big problem. It's why he is not actually wealthy enough to be able to afford this and a presidential campaign. And the GOP is already bled. like almost dry. So it's not like the GOP is going to be able to bankroll him here and save the day.
In a filing earlier this week, Trump's lawyers claimed it was impossible to get that bond, that he'd been rejected by more than 30 companies. Well, the New York attorneys...
Oh, and in case anybody is curious, no, Trump cannot leverage his properties or his real estate for the bond. The bond agencies will not allow that. They will not accept it. Like no one will accept it. He has to give them cash. So he has to liquidate. He can't pull some tricky loophole bullshit here. The only out he has is string this along until election day, winning the election, and then absolving himself of all responsibility for this. If he loses, it won't matter how long he pushes this on for, he will have to pay. He will probably have to file for bankruptcy. Probably not personal bankruptcy. What is it, like chapter... What is the... Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Yeah, he might have to liquidate everything. The Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Chapter 17? It looks like Chapter 7 is what he would have to do. Close enough? Okay. You were close enough.
The Attorney General's office disputed that, noting in a reply that Trump could break up the amount he owes into multiple smaller bonds, citing some precedent of other settlements that work that way. They also suggested that the problem is of Trump's own.
Will he be able to hold this off? Well, you'd be surprised at how much the legal system allows for you to, like, push things off and delay stuff. It is surprisingly, like, easy and possible to do that kind of thing, and it hasn't been unheard of for, like, older people to literally ride out their court date, like their final court date and sentencing for something they're definitely going to be found guilty of until they die. But depending on the crime, you're just going to be held in jail until then. But there's a limit to how long you can be held in jail sometimes. So, yeah, it's a complicated thing. I don't know all the laws and regulations around it, and it's based on state by state too. So I can't even give you an answer that's consistent between every state.
Own making, since he fraudulently inflated the value of his properties, which he now needs to use as collateral.
Yep.
Good point. Today, the judge overseeing the case ordered the Trump Organization to inform its court-appointed financial monitor in advance of any attempts to secure the bond. The order enhancing the monitor's powers also requires the company to inform her of any financial disclosures requested or required, any information provided in response to such requests, any representations made by Trump Organization in connection with securing such bonds, any personal guarantees made by any of the defendants, and any obligations of the Trump Organization required by the surety. Certainly seems like a good idea, I got to say, at a moment when Donald Trump is under so much pressure and so vulnerable and obviously desperate and might be.
This really is the most under fire Trump has ever been in his life. He has never had so many indictments and fines and charges that he has to pay. All the while, he also has to pay for a campaign, and all the while, the GOP is broke as shit and can't afford a campaign like he wants to do or to bankroll Trump's legal fees. And Republican, like GOP donors don't want to donate to the GOP because they know it's just going to go to paying Trump's legal fees. And as much as Trump supporters on Twitter may whine for it, no billionaire wants to drop hundreds of millions of dollars to bail Trump out of this, you know? No one wants to do that. I guess maybe unless they want to have Trump as president be sort of beholden to them. But Trump's not the kind of guy that'll actually, like, pay that back, you know? Like, even after he's done with all this, he's still going to be broke. Even as president, with how broke he'll be, he might not even be powerful enough to pull off the coup he wants to do.
Be the next president? Not to mention the fact that he's already been deemed too untrustworthy to do business in New York State. Now, Trump is still hoping to be basically bailed out.
Is it too mean for us to enjoy this demise of Trump? No. No. What? No, Trump would laugh, like, uproariously at you getting, like, run over by a truck. He would piss on you after you got ran over, just because he thought it was funny. You should never feel bad about anything bad happening to Trump, ever.
Out by the appellate court. His lawyers are pushing for them to intervene, to come in and basically say he doesn't have to pay, claiming in a letter today that having to come up with the bond would cause Trump, quote, irreparable harm. I bet it would. But if he does not get the answer he wants from that appeals court, and that could be today or tomorrow, I guess tomorrow, if he cannot secure the bond by Monday, okay, the wheels are already in motion for the state of New York to start seizing Trump's assets. That's how this works. Bloomberg reports that New York Attorney General Letitia James has formally
How fucking awesome is it going to be to watch the videos of, like, dudes coming in to take Trump's stuff away? Just carrying off furniture, like taking his property, taking his cars and his vehicles, taking, like, the signs down off of his building so they don't say Trump anymore. Oh, there's going to be videos of that going up online. He owns so many properties with his name on them.
Registered the $454 million judgment against Trump in Westchester County, north of New York City, where Trump owns two valuable properties. Quote,
yeah, this is all going to end with Donald Trump working in a Cinnabon in Omaha.
It will allow James to more easily secure liens, should she decide to do so, on the Trump National Golf Club Westchester and the mostly undeveloped 212-acre Seven Springs estate. Trump's golf club in Westchester is located in Briarcliff Manor. Features a 7,300-yard golf course,
Briarcliff Manor,
101-foot waterfall, 75,000 square foot.
It is really crazy how much property these people own, you know? Like, the concept of owning two different places so far from each other is such a foreign and alien concept to me, it's hard to compute. Like, the idea that way up in the, like, forest, wherever the hell this is, you've got your, like, golf course resort. Then, like, thousands of miles away down south in Florida, you've got your, what's it called? Your, like, resort, like, Mar-a-Lago. And then you've got, like, your beach house getaway. A bunch of, like, properties that are just rentals for people because, you know, it's a like, land and property is one of the best forms of investment you can do because it's a finite resource that will always increase in value as more of it gets used, you know? And so, yeah, it's such a foreign concept. Just to imagine myself sitting here in this house, but let's imagine I had a house back in Florida that was, like, mine. It was my house, and like, I could just, like, catch a plane, and it's, like, an empty house that's just waiting for me there, because I got a property there. Like, that concept is just so weird. Like, how could you ever feel comfortable knowing that at any given time, at least one of your homes is left completely vacant and unguarded? Obviously, Trump's so wealthy he has, like, minions. But regardless, I mean, I don't know.
Clubhouse. The town has valued the property at $15.8 million, which is, you know, in the grand scheme of things, not a ton of money. Now, Trump's Seven Springs estate was a major focus of the Attorney General's case, ironically or not, with Judge Arthur Engoron ruling that Trump wildly inflated its value. In 2015, the property was appraised for $56.5 million. Trump claimed it was worth as much as $291 million. Oh, it's the lower valuation, I think, that will probably...
That is magnitudes of over-evaluation that Trump has committed there. That is not even disputable. That's not even like, I accidentally carried a 1. You know, it's like, yeah. No, that's not even on accident.
Probably be counted towards the penalty. Of course, the judgment against Trump is also registered in Manhattan, where the verdict came down and where the ex-president owned.
Can you imagine just watching them taking down the fucking Trump Tower sign as they claim his properties, take down the Mar-a-Lago sign, Dude, I've seen Mar-a-Lago so many times, like through over the years growing up in Florida. Just when I'd be in that area, you'd see it, and it stands out. It's nice, you know, it stands out. The idea of that no longer belonging to Trump anymore. Oh, what a glorious concept. Imagine Trump not owning a single golf course.
Trump Tower, valued at $99 million, an office building at 40 Wall Street, valued at $200 million, a condominium building called Trump.
How does Cult react? Well, to give you an idea, Trump recently said if he doesn't win, it will be a bloodbath in America. That is the quote. It'll be a bloodbath if he doesn't win.
World Tower, valued at $19.8 million. The Attorney General, we should note, is not even limited to New York. Some of Trump's most valuable properties are out of state, including Mar-a-Lago, the Trump National Doral Golf Resort in Miami, and the Trump National Golf Club in LA. So Donald Trump's property portfolio is threatened. The Trump Organization, at least in New York, as a functioning, independent, ongoing concern, is kaput. It has a federal judge as a minder. On top of all that, here's the thing. The ex-president is hemorrhaging cash in all his legal fees. I want you to listen to this number, okay?
It's not just him that's hemorrhaging cash, though. That's not even the important thing. Trump is broke, overvalued. Everyone knows this. Obviously, duh. What really matters is the GOP. Because under normal circumstances, you're just like, Donald Trump would just get bailed out by the GOP. The problem is, the Republican Party is strapped for cash, with reports showing that its organizing committee, the Republican National Committee, or RNC, has its smallest amount of cash on hand in a decade. According to its latest filing with the Federal Election Commission, or FEC, the RNC has $8 million cash on hand, the party's lowest fundraising year since 2013. The report comes amid a flurry of financial problems for the GOP governing body. At the end of November, it reported its lowest bank balance at that point in any year since 2016. FEC disclosures showed. With $9.96 million in spending money, the RNC had less than half the $21.35 million it reported in 2016 after Donald Trump won the presidential election. That's after Trump's campaign. So yeah, the Republican Party is fucking broke. Like, broke. And Donald Trump is broke. There literally has to be, like, Elon Musk has to dig a massive chunk out of his wealth and just pay off Donald Trump to save him here. Like Elon Musk is the only conceivable person who could be Trump's guardian angel here. That, or Trump has to successfully delay all of this until he is able to get elected, if he gets elected. If he gets elected, then he'll be able to stop all of this in its tracks and he'll be completely immune. That is the big worry. If he can delay this enough and he gets elected, he will face no consequences legally ever in his entire life. He would have to be impeached by the House and Senate and then convicted and charged by the Senate and found guilty of that crime. And then he would be able to be charged. Then he would be able to, like, actually have criminal charges. Like, he would be found guilty of criminal charges after he'd been impeached and then charged by the Senate. It's like a really overly complicated process. Like, the House would have to 2/3 vote yes to impeach. The Senate would have to 2/3 vote yes to impeach. And the Senate would have to again vote 2/3 to find Trump guilty of, like, criminal action that, like, for like, and give him a criminal judgment. That is the process that would have to happen for any president in the future, like with the Project 2025 thing. So it's quite worrying. If he does get elected, he will totally be able to get out of this in any other of the given indictments that you could imagine.